Hello, this is Robert Stack of Unsolved Mysteries, wishing you the best for a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Everyone has been destroyed because of this freak! I won't allow it! These babies just saved this lame fest party!
Happy holidays, my friends out there in Twig land, podcast land, wherever you happen to be hearing this program. I am one of your hosts. I am Mike the Bourbon, but I'm not alone as I spread holiday cheer and preferably not some death-defying virus or, I don't know, Cthulhu madness from the great land of Kitchener.
Alex, the producer, whenever you say holiday cheer, I'm brought back to thinking of, I don't know if it was last year's or the year before's Christmas recordings and specials, where holiday cheer was what you referred to when the edibles kicked in.
No, unfortunately, we are recording this in the morning, so holiday cheer is brought to you courtesy by one of our reviews today, G Fuel. So I am really revving the go.
Reminders to our international and American listeners that it is completely legal and recreational to the point of being as common as going to the gas station and picking up a case of beer in the States here.
Yeah, it's so insane.
We are in no way promoting anything that is illegal in your park or your neck of the woods. Just here, it's completely normal.
Exactly. So yes, guys, we are here. So this is the final Twig live show of the year, which means the next time we will be coming back with the news, reviews, and commentary on the world that is and was will be January 22nd, as me and Alex take a long-awaited time off. However, during that time, you may hear some additional recordings. I'm recording a bunch of loose cannons with Enrique Couto and David Denoyer. You're going to hear some stuff on the Crow franchise. You're going to hear the premiere of the resurrected Botched Roll, where I rolled a nat 20. We are bringing that show back. You're going to hear an interview. You're going to hear my first one there. Me and Alex are still planning out our Christmas record of the year, which I think we got a pretty good idea for it.
Yeah, and I'll be if the stars align properly, I'll be recording a few future imperfects with Aaron on some 70s science fiction movies. You can maybe jump in on them if you feel like it, and if you have the time. And even though we're on break, you're still going to be crazy busy. So,
oh my God, yeah,
we'll have that. We'll have some maybe another or two episodes recorded. If not, you'll see some stuff in the new year on some classic loose cannon style episodes as well.
Oh yeah, because I know one of the things Alex and I were talking about, we just didn't get around to doing it, was the WMAC Masters television show he showed me. So I'm going to power through that during the break because I want to see how that show ends. I'm weirdly curious. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff. But as we often do, we tell you about the week that is and was in our personal lives. This week for me has been remarkably busy, as it always is. But I got a chance to really interact with my community this past week. This past week, I spoke at a local high school to a group of probably several hundred students and educators. I was, quote unquote, the most popular person in that school for about 2.5, 3 hours this past week. I was speaking about Indigenous advocacy. I spoke about disability rights, and some very interesting questions came from some of the audience members that were willing to ask questions. I probably had probably 20 or 30 questions. One girl seemed really surprised when I told her about the state of disability rights in Canada, and she's like, "We voted for that?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of terrifying, isn't it?" I had one question that was kind of difficult for me to answer, only because it was such a politically charged question. But the teachers came up to me afterwards, says that was handled very masterfully, very good on the student was brave enough to ask that question because they legitimately didn't know what the answer was. So hopefully I'll be going back more to speak to more local high schools in the future, because it was just a wonderful experience. And then over the last 2 days, once again, involving kids, I got a chance to read children's stories, and this was actually something really awesome. There's a local Indigenous author named Christy White, and she wrote a series of books called Jay and Gizmo, and it's about a little Indigenous boy and his little black cat named Gizmo. And I read at Guelph's first ever Spirit of the Season, which was kind of like this holiday market / entertainment thing that ran over the course of the weekend here in the old Quebec Street Mall and throughout the Guelph downtown. There was like vendors, choirs, bands, storytellers. And if you look at my TikTok at Birdman Dot, I got a chance to sing and drum along with another performer named Peter. And Alex, it was one of the coolest Indigenous moments ever, just because I'm singing songs I'm only really starting to learn the meaning of now. Like, I think I know we sang some Cree, some Ojibwe, but it was hearing my drum echo in such a building. Like, Peter said to me afterwards, like, your drum, because he made this for me, it's like a powwow drum, and those things are meant to be very, very, very loud.
Like, because they're meant to be for outdoors, right?
Oh yeah, like this thing was like booming, and I was like, this is kind of awesome. And the best part about this entire weekend, though, so when I was reading to these kids, because the book was about a little black cat named Gizmo, I have a little stuffed panther, which we call Not Wiley. And the reason we call him Not Wiley, because obviously it's not Dr. Wiley, who passed away about a year ago last week. I sleep with that pretty much every night since he's passed away.
He's basically a decoy doppelganger. Yeah.
And this little girl, as I was reading the story of Jay and Gizmo, I handed her the little stuffy, and she was just so enamored with it. And I think the Guelph Community Foundation took a couple of pictures of it, and it was just so adorable. And I'm thinking that's why I had a lot of fun doing this. So next year I'm probably going to read some more Jay and Gizmo, but I also maybe take a stab at creating something. But yeah, it was seriously just an awesome experience. And then doing some more stuff with the Guelph Storm. I was listening to their podcast. Turns out one of their big players, one of my favorites, is a guy named Max Nemestikov. We got him in a trade last year. Turns out he's a huge gamer. So I was listening to this podcast he was doing, and I'm thinking, you say you're pretty good at Call of Duty. I challenge thee. So this is either going to work out really well or really, really terribly if he ever hears it. So yeah, it was kind of cool just to hear there are some gamers on that team. Obviously they play NHL, which evidently has the nickname of Chell. I'm thinking, okay, let's talk about some real games for a change. But it turns out he was into Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege. So that has me legitimately like, you actually are a gamer. It's not just Fortnite with you. So
well, and let's be honest, if he hadn't said Siege, it's like there's certain points where it's like anybody can say they're a gamer when they touch upon the most popular games out there. But to say Rainbow Six Siege and not be around our age, you know,
yeah, that's like really, dude.
Yeah, like the Rainbow Six series is great, but it's generally a ages 30 and up is people that play it, right? So if he's there, he's got to be what, teens or 20s,
17 or 18, yeah.
Yeah. So remember, he was like what, like 8 when that game came out? Yeah,
like when the series really kind of took off. Yeah, like it's been quite a number of years. I was like, you know what, kid? Good on you. The fact that you know
that gives me that's cred in my book, especially considering how hard that game is compared to others.
Oh God, yeah. Like, so I was so impressed with it. I know after today's recording, I'm going to the rare afternoon game for the Guelph Storm. And I think today's for big brothers and big sisters. So there's like a bucket hat thing. So maybe I'll wear like a goofy hat today. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that. And that, Alex, has been my very, very busy week. What about you, friendo?
Well, it was, if you listened to the show last week, a lot of it was catching up and doing reviews and getting things prepped because we wanted to have as many things out as possible before we go for our holiday gift guide / break. So I was playing some games, one of which is going to be in the show this week, which is the Like a Dragon spin-off game, the Gaiden game. I have also been getting some Christmas presents together. It's sort of, I've been taking a very lackadaisical, whatever. Lackadaisical, that's it. Shut up. my damn smart speaker started talking because my name, it sounds similar to the activation of it. Stupid ass thing. Anyway, I've been basically wrapping things a little bit by bit as we go. Whereas usually I would spend like an entire afternoon just wrapping things and trying to make them look fancy or decorating. This year's been kind of slow. So I've just been like, for each person, I'd be like, today's the day I wrap the one present for this person. And at the same time, I've been, catching up on TV, watching a lot of the Doctor Who stuff and the classic stuff because I got interested, plus the new specials. And just, it's been sort of hot and cold. And then I had was it 3 or 4 inches of snow the one day here? And
then it was just gone.
Yeah, it was, to give you an idea, the night before, it was in my room 24, 25 degrees Celsius because the heating is on. We can't turn it off because it's old boiler room heating. And I was like, okay, so I'll just open my window all the way because it's boiling hot considering it's like 16 degrees outside, 24 degrees inside. And I woke up because snow had blown in onto me.
Oh my God.
Just like powder, like whatever, like mistings made it through the screen window, blew my curtains up. And I was like, ooh, why am I cold? And then it's like, oh, because it now dropped to -5 and we have 4 inches of snow in the last 4 hours. And I was like, what? And no, I don't accept. So I closed the window and then, felt better. And then I was like, why is it so hot the next day? Because within another 12 hours, the snow was gone. I was like, what the hell is this? So beyond that, it's just been mostly prepping to do things because we've got such a busy week coming up for us. I'll have probably more to say, I guess, when we record our gift guide or something, or when we do our prototype.
I was about to say, yeah, we still have a couple more records to kind of do this week. So we are going to be busy. But before we get to all that business that is the week, we do have a couple of reviews we're going to be bringing you this week. We're going to go to the far future of Night City with a review I'll be doing with G Fuel. We're also going to be doing once again, traveling to where no one has gone before. We're going to be taking a look at something from Paramount Home Entertainment. And then Alex has the latest entry in the Like a Dragon series. We'll be talking about that. So we got a lot of news to cover this week. So we'll be back, guys, right after this, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Alex here with just a very quickie review of the Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name. This is the side story from our friends over at Sega. Thank you for providing a review copy for PlayStation 5. We have gone and looked at previous games in the Yakuza series over the last few years, obviously leading up into what was the big shift in the game, in the genre itself that they were using for Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is now more or less set in stone as being a turn-based RPG. Well, to give a little flair and I guess kick back to the original style of action game, they've gone with the side story. This takes place between events of previous games as well as concurrently with what was happening in Yakuza 7, or Like a Dragon, as it's known now. Now, that being said, this surprised me a little bit in that it's not, I mean, it is a side story. It's not as big of a title as I was expecting because there's usually almost endless content in the mainline Yakuza series, or mainline Like a Dragon series. There isn't as much here as traditionally available, yet the price point remains roughly the same. So if you're somebody who looks at these games based on how many hours you can sink into it for the value dollar, you're going to have to look elsewhere. It's not as grand or as big. That being said, it does seem pretty concise. I've spent dozens of hours here so far, just sort of going through it, and I found that it has really good mini games. The graphics are solid. It's pretty much what you'd expect at this point from a well-oiled team. They're nice cameos, and there are some new people in new characters, and I don't want to spoil the story because you know how twisted and weird it can be. In spoiling the story for this game, you also spoil the story for a couple other Yakuza games, so I'm not going to go into detail there. Just know that the manicness and strangeness and quirkiness is still here, obviously. The writing seems a little lower quality than I've played in the past. This is not the strongest entry in the series, that's for sure. Is it fun? Yes, absolutely. I would say the biggest con to this is there's a live-action hostess minigame that's going to turn some people off. I mean, I was sort of indifferent to it, but it is something that I think, and if you probably look up other reviews, that's probably going to be the sticking point. At least it's what sticks out as far as being poorly conceived or maybe not well thought out for the audience. I mean, or unless it is, maybe people like it. Who knows? That being said, it is a pretty solid release. The controls are good. It has the fun manic energy there. It is right now perfect to tie you over until Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth comes out in the new year, and it's a good thing to have for the holiday season. So if you're looking to go back and catch up on maybe some of the content that you had missed, you want to see what fills in the blanks, fills in the gaps in some of the previous games story, this is basically what this is here to do. This is for the super fan and the fairly new fans if you want to get both sides of the story heading into the next mainline entry.
The Prime Minister of Sweden visited Washington today, and my tiny little nipples went to France.
Gossip, rumors, panic in the streets. We're lucky.
This Week in Geek News.
Welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm your host, Mike the Birdman. He's Alex, the producer. And as we walk into the final news roundup of the year, this week has been very surprising in some ways. Didn't see this coming. Totally thought this would have dropped at the Game Awards, but I'm very glad it dropped in a very public way. This story comes courtesy from Kotaku, but has been reported on by multiple outlets. Bethesda confirms the Fallout TV show is canon in the first official preview. In a newly released preview of Amazon Prime's upcoming Fallout TV show, we learned a lot of new details about the world, characters, and the story of the highly anticipated live-action adaptation of Bethesda's popular post-apocalyptic RPG franchise. For example, the show is considered canon with the games, and Walter Goggins still looks good even as an undead ghoul. First announced in July 2020, the Fallout TV series will premiere in April of 2024 on Amazon Prime, but we've not seen much officially of the live-action adaptation since its announcement in 2022. Some set photos leaked, and Bethesda released a single screenshot of the series to tease fans. That's about it. So this new big preview is our first real look about what to expect next year. Published on November 28th, Vanity Fair's new look at the upcoming Fallout series confirms a few things. For starters, Bethesda's Todd Howard revealed that the show is, quote, canon and set in the same universe as the games. Quote, we view what's happening in the show as canon, Howard told Vanity Fair. That's what's great, when someone else looks at your work and then translates it in some fashion. Vanity Fair further elaborated and explained that everything in the new show is officially part of the franchise lore, and that Bethesda was careful to make sure what happens in the series can coexist with storylines found in the games. Howard also admitted that some of the show's ideas, in addition to the lore, were so good that he and others at Bethesda wondered, why didn't we do that? So what's the Fallout show about? Elsewhere in the lengthy preview, the Fallout TV show co-developer and executive producer Jonathan Nolan revealed the basic premise of the series. The series won't adapt a storyline from the games, and is instead telling its own tale that intertwines with the franchise in its expansive universe. The Fallout show will mainly revolve around three characters: a naive vault dweller named Lucy, played by Yellow Jackets actress Ella Purnell, young Brotherhood of Steel soldier Maximus, played by Aaron Moten, and then finally Walter Goggins, Walton Goggins as the mysterious and cool bounty hunter known only as the Ghoul. After Lucy leaves her vault on a mission, she runs into the other characters who are on missions of their own. Speaking about the ghoulified Goggins, Nolan wanted to make sure he did in fact look like a ghoul. Irradiated, long-living creatures found in the Fallout games, but not too gross and zombie-like that it would defeat the purpose of hiring Goggins in the first place. Quote, I wanted to be able to see Walton in his performance. He needs to look like a ghoul from the game, and he needs to be kind of hot, Nolan said. If you don't mind a missing nose and knowing the internet, that isn't a problem for some folks, then Goggins is looking pretty dang good as a centuries-old undead bounty hunter. The Fallout TV series will premiere in April 2024 on Amazon Prime, based upon the images shared in Vanity Fair in the big preview. It seems like a leaked trailer from earlier this year was indeed real. You can check out that trailer, blah, 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 blah. This trailer looks freaking cool. I was actually really surprised how good this looks. If I did have one major complaint, and it's such a small one, because my guess is the CG will look better when it goes to air. One of the monsters, which is based upon a mutated bear, whose name I can't remember, but it's tossing around a guy in a set of T-55 power armor. That's about the only thing that looks a little bit off, but the costumes look dead on. The setting looks great. The set dressing looks amazing. The power armor looks really awesome. It looks like a Fallout television show, and I always wondered how you could pull that off on a television budget, but I guess with Amazon having Jeff Bezos money, and you see the huge adaptations of The Last of Us and The Witcher, isn't Alan Wake getting a TV series or something?
Yeah, I think Starz is doing that.
Yeah.
Just fingers crossed that they don't completely shit the bed like the Halo series.
Which I'm so glad you brought that up. Did you know there's a season 2 coming out in February?
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And the trailer looks like it's going to be covering the fall of Reach. And it doesn't look terrible.
Nobody watched it.
That's the thing. I know they had at least a 2-season commitment, minimum, obviously. I would really wonder if season 2 will be a hard course correction for them to move away from what they established in the first season.
The acting was bad. It was all in a single green screen room almost for like 90% of it. Nobody cared because it wasn't about the chief.
Yeah, this season, I don't know how they're going to do it, because with the fall of Reach, it's different, but because it's the quote-unquote silver timeline, we're going to see something a little bit different.
It was worse than the unwatchable Twisted Metal show.
Which is so weird. I've heard people say that show turned out to be better than expected. I haven't watched it personally.
I got 2 minutes in, got so angry that I refused to watch it ever again.
Well,
that's
I would definitely give something more than 2 minutes personally.
I jumped around in a couple of episodes just randomly seeking through things. The acting is very poorly cast for everybody.
I think that might be one of those things where I definitely enjoy some quote-unquote holiday cheer and see how it all turns out.
It would look like The Asylum made it.
Interesting. Like,
and that means a lot.
Yeah, like I'm hoping with a lot of these video game adaptations they do it right, because I know The Last of Us season 2 is supposed to go into production as early as February. Obviously, now that the writer strike is over, the actor strike is over, people can get back to work. But you've now lost months upon months of work where things could have been gotten done.
And Amazon is still sitting on a Mass Effect, and I think is it God of War?
I think so, which, given how good Fallout looks, we'll see how things turn out after the season concludes in probably like July or something.
I would still rather traditionally HBO have those shows, because Amazon is like flipping a coin. It's either amazing or not.
Yeah, but
the problem with Warner is, with the people in charge there, you don't know what's going to happen if the show they might film the show just to get a tax write-off, so you don't know with them either. And it's like I'm starting to like look in the horizon and go, all right, Apple, you've got like a 90% track record for making good stuff on a high budget. Could you maybe fund some of these video game adaptations?
Well, weren't they supposed to do something for not Assassin's Creed, but they had some Ubisoft property.
Ubisoft was going to be making a TV show at one point, and then the movie didn't do well or something.
Yeah, it's weird because. Sorry, go ahead.
Like it's interesting. I think Amazon is a good fit right now because they're riding high on how good The Boys and Invincible have been, right? When it comes to, and even the spinoffs of each, when it comes to their adaptations. I don't think they've done a video game though.
Yeah, I'll be very curious to see how this performs. Like the fact that it looks the part, it looks like they got the right creative people involved. I think it might do okay. I think if Fallout does well, I'm going to predict we'll see Mass Effect in probably about 3 years and that'll be a massive undertaking. And I think they're going to throw us a bit of a curveball. I think I'm going to make this bold prediction now. This is Birdman putting on his future hat. If we get the Mass Effect series from Amazon, I'm going to predict we get FemShep for that series.
I would assume so too, and they would be smart to do it because that's what people like. And it's nothing against male Shep or your buddy there voicing.
Yeah,
it's just he'll be
more compelling. It's more
compelling. Mark's the first one to admit that FemShep is the canon Shep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think if you want to play out the great romance of Mass Effect, because a lot of fans see Shepard and Garrus or Shepard and Liara, you could honestly go either way there because Liara is the Asari are they're like a unisex species. They can go either way.
And if they do go, male presenting Shep, then it's got to be Tally, bitch.
Yeah, honestly, I think they could do some really interesting storylines with that if they got a large enough episode order, 12 episodes to tell the course of one game, maybe 2.
Watch it go completely out of left field and have them announce it, but it's a show entirely about Joker.
Honestly, I could see that working on some weird level.
It's literally like Lower Decks. It's just all about the shit that Joker has to deal with when they're on away missions.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the whole show is like the one part in Mass Effect 2 where they get invaded and he has to escape with the help of Edie.
I mean, it's amazing to see these studios and larger entities take risks on properties, but for every Witcher, for every Last of Us, you get Rings of Power. So you really got to walk that line. Just because you have money doesn't mean it's good. So I'm cautiously optimistic about Fallout.
Well,
I want it to be successful. Want it to be successful.
The other shows, I'm looking at a list there's of upcoming shows, and here's what there is. A Plague Tale: Innocence is getting an adaptation. That's the one with the rats.
Yeah.
Which I don't know who is who's producing that.
Stars, maybe.
They don't have it. They just said it's apparent. It was announced in 2022, but it doesn't have a spot yet. Alan Wake's show is going to AMC.
I can see that being okay. That could be okay.
Especially they're looking for something spooky since The Walking Dead proper is over. They have their spinoffs, but let's be real. People are going to tune into spinoffs a lot less than they do a mainline series.
Yeah, but so the only thing that might do well is the Daryl Dixon show.
Which is already running, and it's probably doing well, but they're not going to ever hit 18 million viewers like they did previously.
Early on, yeah.
And then the Assassin's Creed show...
I didn't realize that was still on the books.
It is. They've done everything they can to not cancel it. It was Netflix was in development of it, and apparently they're looking for other buyers now.
Netflix is hit or miss too.
Brothers in Arms, Ubisoft is apparently working on that.
Okay, sure.
Which is funny because isn't that an EA property? But Ubisoft is working on it. That's probably going to go nowhere.
Yeah, I don't see that reaching even trailer stage. No way.
Disco Elysium which
that could be interesting. That's a weird like adventure game that won a lot of awards a couple of years ago.
It would depend on who gets it and where it goes, right? And what they decide to do with it. Driver has had it's been in sort of development hell for like 3 years. Again, Ubisoft live action Driver show. I think a lot of their stuff is in flux because of how they have behaved.
Honestly, if I were to adapt any Ubisoft property, and it would work well because you could change the locations every single season, adapt the games, do Far Cry 1 through 6, 6 seasons, 6 stories, 6 settings. You're not stuck with one cast every year. You can literally change it up.
Why doesn't Apple or Showtime or one of these premium channels, why don't they... Oh, I guess they can't do... Like, they'd have to license the Splinter Cell property, and that's multiple licensing involved, right? If it's original properties, I guess Rayman, if they did like a high budget Rayman universe.
Maybe he show up in that Captain Laserhawk as like a weirdo.
Yeah.
You know what? That could be okay. Maybe, sure. Why not? It's just...
The problem is Ubisoft's biggest properties are licensed properties.
Yeah, like...
Except
Assassin's Creed has legs, maybe. It's just... Unless you do the action in that show right, and it depends. Do you focus on the old school Assassin's Creed where you talk about the Animus and Desmond and the precursors and all that bullshit?
I would love a Prince of Persia show done in the style of like the 90s Hercules, Xena, and Sinbad shows.
That would actually be really fun, yeah, to get that 45-minute adventure show, right?
Even if you made it a half-hour goofy action show, you could get away with it. Like that, you could get like the kids in there, like I don't know, something in the vein of like the way the Ash versus Evil Dead show was done, but obviously more PG.
I could see that actually being really something kind of fun. I could see Amazon, if they did the Splinter Cell series, if they could license it from the Tom Clancy estate, if they did it in the same style of Jack Ryan or Jack Reacher, where it's very grounded, but you can have some cool tech in it, I could see that working. The only problem is, as much as I would love to see Michael Ironside back as the voice of Sam Fisher, that's not going to happen. But I could see that working. Or if you gave me a good mid-budget, and I'm going to say mid, think of like that Hitman's Bodyguard era kind of budget. If you gave me a mid-budget Splinter Cell movie on Netflix, I would be fine with it. Totally fine with it.
Sony and Square have been working on a Final Fantasy adaptation for 5 years.
If it happens, maybe, sure.
If it happens, it'll probably show up with one of their partner deals with Netflix or somebody else. Or no, a lot of Sony produced shows end up on Apple, so maybe there. Amazon is Amazon working on the God of War series.
Okay.
And then beyond that, there is Horizon is getting a series on Netflix.
That could be good depending on budget. Because a lot of that robot dinosaur shit, it better look cool. If it doesn't look at least as good as the new Avatar series, you've got problems. It better look as good as at least that now, because now the bar has been raised from The Witcher, I think was their live action gold standard. And now Ong looks really good from the Avatar show.
Yeah, and Sonic the Hedgehog's getting a Knuckles spin-off from the movies as a mini-series on Paramount Plus, live action.
Okay, sure, why not?
Mass Effect, it is Amazon Prime that's still working on it as of November of 2021, so pandemic time. Expect to hear about that probably closer to when the game comes out in a year or two, maybe 3 years or more.
Hopefully, yeah.
But that they would want to pace that probably. Legendary Pictures has been making a My Friend Pedro show.
If that was animated shorts lasting no more than 10 minutes, if Netflix did it like Cuphead, that could be really friggin' fun.
It's a half-hour R-rated comedy.
That's too long. You're going to run the humor into the ground. Cuphead was perfect because it was short. And it worked great.
Skull and Bones was supposed to have a TV show tied to it.
Oh, God. Okay. real shit here for a minute. Isn't that game legit supposed to come out like next quarter?
They got pushed again. I think it's like 12 times it's been pushed.
My God. That's gotta be...
They have to release it, or they could lose hundreds of millions of dollars in development money to the Singapore government that they had in a contract saying that they would fund and release.
I mean, I like the idea of Skull and Bones. Maybe, since Assassin's Creed 4 came out like 1,000 years ago, they've improved the naval combat. We'll see. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And the last one there's been a few where people have been saying that there's going to be other things, but the last one that's sort of on the books is there is a live action television series based on System Shock in the works.
That would be really hard to pull off, only because the lore for that series gets weird. You need the right people who are going to be responsible for bringing that weird cyberpunk horror to life. And you could pull it off. I see it as possible, but you would have to have the right showrunner, and it would have to have money.
It's the screenwriter that did the most recent Mortal Kombat movie is working on it.
Okay, that gives me a lot of hope, actually. So
yeah, so it's not a complete unknown. It's somebody who's made a project that went to theaters, or I guess it was during the pandemic, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there's that. So there's a few things, and there's obviously others, but these are the only ones that have like confirmed green light on them. Out of these, some look like they have potential. And getting back to it, I think Fallout's one of the most potential ones. Like there are easier games to produce, but I think the time is kind of right. We're sort of entering a fascination with like retro futurism. Silo was a very big show last year. Where people are, it's like almost like this hybrid 1950s, 60s, 70s technology locked in a bunker dystopia. That's a big thing. So it already was kind of like Fallout right now, and then having a full-blown Fallout.
Because that's how you pitched that show to me. It's like Fallout, but less goofy.
It's Fallout, less goofy, and what if all the computers were like late 1970s, early 1980s Commodore computers, but that's all they ever had. So all the operating systems had to be like very creative to make them look more modern, but running on old hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is like, all the decor is like 1950s or 60s. Their clothing is all that. The computers are all late 70s, early 80s, but it's like present day. Like what if that was the world we lived in?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, guys, we got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. Once again, Fallout premieres on Amazon Prime in April of 2024. We're going to stick with the entertainment news this week because that's just how it is. So this one comes courtesy of comingsoon.net. So, quote, scrapping Batgirl was necessary, according to David Zaslav. Over a year after deciding to shelve Batgirl, or after shelving the Batgirl movie starring Leslie Grace as the titular hero, the current Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, David Zaslav, says axing the movie, quote, took real courage, but was a, quote, necessary move. During a DealBook Summit event via Variety, Zaslav explains that while it was by no means easy to come up with a strategic decision, choosing not to release Batgirl project was the right thing to do. Quote, what content is going to help us win? The content that wasn't, we made a strategic decision on. It was difficult and it was painful, but I think it was the right decision for the company and it was necessary, says Zaslav. The sudden cancellation of Batgirl in 2022 has been deemed one of the most controversial moves in Hollywood thus far. With tax write-offs being the main reason behind the decision, scrapping of Batgirl also led to other projects not seeing the light of day, including Coyote versus Acme and Scoob Hollywood Haunt. Of course, given that Batgirl was nearly finished, the announcement was caused quite the stir online, but for Zaslav, canceling the mentioned projects was not entirely a bad thing. Quote, we decided to have the courage. The question is, should we take certain of these movies and open them in theater and spend another $30 million to $40 million to promote them? When I look at the health of our company today, we need to make those decisions, and it took real courage, he added. Quote, yeah, right.
Sorry. You know what the biggest amount of bullshit there is that anybody could have called him out on? Okay. You're going to cancel it so you can save 30 or 40 million in marketing. Just put it on your streaming platform and release it and just say, hey, this premium theatrical movie we've decided to put on the streaming platform. Anybody that wants to come check it out, subscribe to us.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if they think they would have lost, that is such a big amount of bullshit.
Yeah,
Like, because they could easily make the money back on streaming and home video for a property like that.
And there was talk, and now that Acme versus Coyote is being shopped around, they basically gave it to the directors and said, hey, if you can find a buyer, go for it. And I think Amazon was in conversations with that earlier. There was a story we covered last year with Scoob Holiday Haunt, where the composer still had to finish music for this, even though it was going right into the vault on a hard drive. And there was another interview that I heard. It was on a Kevin Smith podcast, and he was saying, hey kids, if you're a director or an editor, make sure you have a copy of your finished work on a flash drive, on a hard drive before you submit to the studios, just in case bullshit like this ever happens to you. Because if they decide to vault it, you will not get to see your finished movie.
Not to mention somebody who writes the music for it, depending on how the contract is stated, they might not be allowed to perform that music live ever. Yeah.
So all your blood, sweat, and tears and all your creative energies poured into a flash drive that's going to sit in the bottom of a safety deposit box for like 100 years.
There have been soft offers from Amazon, MGM Studios, which would mean it would either show up on MGM Plus, their streaming platform, or Prime, as well as Apple Studios and Netflix, which would mean that it might actually get theatrical runs from one of those companies, which would be hilarious.
Yeah. Actually, there was talk about that, specifically with the Acme project. If it does end up in theaters, there was talk of them doing a Barbenheimer with it for it to become so stupid popular that Zaslav would look like a fucking idiot. Now, let me tell you, I would buy tickets for you, me, and Blair to get in on that, because that would be fucking hysterical to me, because this guy Zaslav has made nothing but disastrous decisions over and over again.
Wasn't he the CEO of the Discovery television channels, all the reality show bullshit channels? That's all he's known for.
Yeah, there is some good content there, but the quality of that show is of those shows is definitely sliding scale. It's incredible that they gave this guy a movie studio. Like, basically, I would say under his watch, the DC universe is more or less tanked. If Gunn could bring it back at this point, I'm going to be really friggin' surprised. I know the only other hit that Warner Brothers could potentially count on due to early buzz is Wonka's getting a lot of really good response. Evidently, the early tracking for Aquaman is not looking good.
Nobody wants to see what's her name in it, and
Amber Heard. Yeah,
and let's be honest. Interest in DC movies across the board outside of Batman proper, and I guess you could extend that to the
Joker Harley Quinn.
Basically, if it's not realistic R-rated DC Batman stuff, nobody cares. We're 2 to 3 years too late.
Yeah, and even this year, there were certain movies we weren't offered as a part of our holiday gift guide package, which were major tentpoles this year.
Yeah.
That kind of surprises me.
Which has never happened from them before. So
yeah,
nothing. It's obviously nothing to do with us and nothing to do with our traditional means of receiving this stuff. It's that they don't even have faith at the corporate level in their own properties. You can tell in a lot of them.
Like, I'll be very interested to see how things shake out. I honestly think Warner Brothers Discovery needs to get rid of Zaslav and just be done with it. Just wash your hands with it. I mean, it got so bad, Alex. I recall hearing this from a number of people that people who are directors and big Hollywood creatives were canceling were canceling meetings with Warner Brothers over this, because they were like, I could film this movie, put 2 or 3 years of my life into it, and you could just lock it. So it was just like, no, like, this is not going to happen. This is not a smart idea whatsoever.
Yeah, like there's going to be fallout. Like people talk about Bob Iger too, and it's like this Zaslav is the poster child for everything that you could see as possibly being wrong with a media company.
Yeah, like it's not like
how is he viewed as worse than the owner of the News Corp?
yeah, like how are you worse than Rupert Murdoch? Like it blows my mind that these people who think we know what Hollywood understands, and I'm not saying we the fans, we the consumer always know right?
Yeah, you have to be able to make money, obviously, and you have to be. But there is a point where you, as a corporation, have to say, how much is enough profit?
Yeah,
not enough permanently. How much is like? There's only so much growth, and then there isn't growth ever again. So, like once you've saturated your growth entirely, you have to just go, hey, board of directors, we're not going to be worth X billion more every year in perpetuity. You have to temper your expectations and go, we're going to make good products that people will keep buying, because if we don't, people won't buy. You know what I mean? What point did quality, like I understand that quantity over quality is what they usually care about. It's like getting the most tickets, the most sales. But there is a point where they have to go, if all we're shoveling you is shit, people are going to stop buying shit.
Yeah, like I think it was a conversation either between you, me, Aaron, and Enrique, or maybe it was you, me, Enrique, and James. I want to say we had a conversation that ran along the line of we need lesser AAA movies that cost $250 million plus and make a string of smaller movies that may be more successful because they cost less, because you have to be more creative with it. Not everything has to be Jones in the Dial of Destiny.
Give me unique looking, feeling movies with good stories and characters at the $50 million price point for superhero movies. And I would rather see 10 of those than 2 of anything that DC has done in the last 4 years.
Yeah, like honestly, you do not need to spend $120 million on the Marvels. And I liked the Marvels for the most part, but at that point, you could have given me a smaller Miss Marvel movie and a $50 million Punisher movie. Okay, here's my pitch to you. I would like, if you could have got same director who did the Marvels, give her a Miss Marvel movie that's an hour and a half, give her, I'll say $75 million. And for my second project, this can be a Disney Plus exclusive, but I'm going to cap the budget, but I want the guys who did John Wick, and I get a Punisher movie with John Bernthal. Well, and I assure you that will go over huge, because the action would be there. You have to do it on a smaller scale, and they got to think.
Isn't that what they're going to do with the Constantine movie?
That would be fine too. Like that's another thing. Like not all these movies need to have these budget balloons that are literally going to sink the company if they don't do.
A sequel's in development, and I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's the team. Like I believe that Keanu's pitch to get them to come over was he's getting the team that put together John Wick to do it.
Yeah, I mean that would be amazing.
It's not going to have the same action. Like it's not going to be that quick cut. But the idea is it's going to have a unique style and look. That's what's missing from almost everything. Everything is this homogenized, glossy Marvel look, or everything is the Zack Snyder look. Look at what the two best outside of Aquaman coming out at the right time with the right actor, perfect timing. Look at everything that has been successful from DC and Warner Brothers has been a completely different look to what Marvel does, because you can't all be the same.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works. Zaslav will eventually go, because he will piss off too many shareholders at one point by too many failures and bad PR things. And who knows who's going to come later and who's going to fix it. But the biggest mistake they had was the previous owners of Warner Brothers drove it into the ground over about a 10 to 12 year period. It all ties back to poor management since Ted Turner's merger. When it was the AOL Time Warner merger, and we're talking like 1998, and then they lucked out by having huge success with Harry Potter and some other properties. And they rode that wave. And when that was right about ending is when they had another merger and things started to tank. And they ran themselves into the ground for 10 years so that when Discovery took them over, a company known for originally making, high production value documentaries of substance and value to basically being the company that's like, let's put a chef in the Congo and see if he can survive off of beans. That's the kind of bullshit shows that they're known for. And making shows for, $20,000 for 10 episodes total, and then seeing if they can get 5 million people to watch it. That's what they're known for.
Yeah.
So,
and as much as I enjoy some of those shows, the quality is terrible.
Well, you put those people in charge of things and they're like, well, if we're spending $200 million, we expect to make $4 billion. Excuse me, but no movie has ever made over $2 billion. Well, no, we have to because we're spending this money. It's like that's not how it works. You don't just spend the money to get 10 times the return. You have to make a good product to get your return, and you can't expect 10 times the return.
Exactly. Just does not exist. Yeah. So our final story this week, which oddly enough ties right back into Warner Brothers Discovery. This story comes courtesy of Push Square, but has been covered by multiple outlets. In a move that will rightly have people questioning the advent of an all-digital future, Sony has confirmed that hundreds of Discovery TV shows will be completely removed from PlayStation platforms, even if you've purchased them through the PlayStation Store. Quote, as of 31st December 2023, due to our content licensing arrangements with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content, and the content will be removed from your video library, reads the rather sudden announcement. That same page includes a full list of all the Discovery shows that are being wiped, and it's a long one. It's unclear exactly why Sony's previous agreement with Discovery has been axed, although it's worth noting that the network merged with Warner Brothers last year. It is possible a new deal will be struck down the line, but as of right now, PlayStation users are about to lose access to a trove of digital media that they may have already paid for. This certainly isn't the first time that this stuff has been removed from the PlayStation Store and people's purchase libraries, and you can bet it won't be the last. But this latest announcement is already sparking plenty of renewed debate over digital ownership rights, the necessity of things like physical media, and the underlying morals of piracy. Will this mass deletion of Discovery shows impact you at all? Does this kind of thing make you question digital purchases? Raise an eyebrow at the mention of an all-digital future in the comment section below. It's
Discovery, not the Warner Brothers stuff you might have purchased, just Discovery. And you know what? Not a single bit of value was lost.
I'm going to take a look here. So I'm just to see if I can find something really interesting here. You lose Alaska Gold Diggers. I know that show's popular. With American Guns, American Choppers.
Who buys those things when they're all either available on YouTube to stream or on Tubi, or if you're paying for Discovery Plus on Discovery Plus?
Bering Sea Gold you're getting rid of. Let's see.
They should auto transfer you credit for something. That's what they should do.
Okay, this is interesting. You're losing stuff like Cake Boss, which is produced through the Food Network, or at least it is here in Canada. Okay.
Yeah, that's all Discovery programming.
Yeah.
Like those channels are all so again, what value is lost from this? I honestly it's just my personal opinion. I think you're foolish to purchase episodes of a reality show.
Yeah, I mean, the only show I could see some people buying, for example, like those type of things. I know some early seasons of Survivor are very hard to get, but again, that's a completely different entity.
Yeah. Maybe a cooking show if you like a recipe, but there's everything that you see there. You can either get for free elsewhere or something better on YouTube.
Yeah, or it's always on replay somewhere. I'm continuing to look through. Okay, you lose episodes of Hoarders, which is weird.
Again, every single one of these shows has been uploaded 10 or 20 times to YouTube, whether that be piracy in your mind or not. There's nothing of value being lost here, except that you were stupid to have bought that kind of thing on a unique platform. Don't buy shows Like, iTunes is one thing because it goes on multiple devices, but like, let's be honest, don't buy shows on Xbox or PlayStation.
Yeah, you're always running the risk. I mean, although in my mind, and maybe Alex, you have a deeper insight into this. If I've purchased it and if it's downloaded to my device, why should the hardware owners, let's say Xbox or something, why should they be able to delete something I've purchased and paid for and download it to my hard drive? If I was streaming it from a service, I get it. You can cut that off because the servers aren't maintained. But if it's sitting on a hard drive,
because they're requiring that you connect to the internet to verify the DRM on it. And it will say, hey, this content's not there. Not only can you not watch it, we're deleting it from your drive now.
That is, and it's fucked up because I'm a big digital guy.
Think about the people that purchased Powers, the show on PlayStation. Can you watch it on PlayStation anymore? No.
Where can you watch that now?
I think they had a Blu-ray release at some point.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Why isn't right now it's only movies? Why wasn't that included in the PlayStation was it View, whatever the hell they're calling it? Mm-hmm. You know how the PlayStation Plus Premium, we get the access to a bunch of library movies on their new streaming platform on the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Why isn't that included, or the other produced shows from Sony on there?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. It probably has to do with licensing agreements and lawyers.
Everything.
Yeah, like it's so dumb. And
so
you'd think to attract people to your platform, you would have a library of free shit that will be available in perpetuity.
Well, you remember what happened?
Just watch.
You remember what happened to like Ultraviolet going away in Canada? Mm-hmm. It went away. We had to switch everything to either Google, which didn't have everything, or Apple. And at least with those two platforms, you know that they're not going away. Mm-hmm. But the problem is, like, we don't have movies anywhere. You've probably heard of that. Like in the States, people have that where when you redeem a code from pretty much any platform, it connects to a central server that you can log into. So like, let's say you've redeemed stuff through Paramount's own service or iTunes service or Vudu, blah, blah, blah. You can connect all of those accounts to one central account and view it all from there. And it's in a higher bit rate. So it's not like at full media quality, but more like iTunes or a little bit better quality than iTunes or Apple and that sort of thing, which is nice. But it's not available anywhere outside of the States. And it is the one central place to sort of rule them all, except for I think one or two of the companies doesn't go there. I forget who. It might be, was it Lionsgate or somebody doesn't use them? Somebody doesn't use them. But again, like, I like having digital copies, but I also know that you can't rely on them forever unless they're completely DRM free.
Mm-hmm. So the digital future is stupid. I guess that's going to be our final thought on this. So once again, guys, big thank you for joining us this past year on the Nerd News Network, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net. We'll be back next year in January with more stupid bullshit. I'm sure we'll kind of keep an eye out to the news over the next few weeks. I'm sure there'll be some stories that'll be like milk in the back of your fridge, but I'm sure there'll be something interesting.
If there's something ridiculous that's like happens, like if in the regular news, if we hear something like Apple has bought Nintendo or something, then we're doing an emergency broadcast, you know it, or if it's like Warner Brothers fell apart and now Sega bought them, you'd be like, what? Like if something like that happens, then you know we're doing a show. But
oh yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, this is sort of a good way to end the year of regular news on the crap that's happening in media.
So, all right, guys. So we're going to take another break here on the show as we take another review from either Alex, myself, or maybe one of us both together. That made no sense. Either way, there's going to be a review coming up next, and then our final weird news of the year, and it's an interesting one. So we'll be back, guys, right after this, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Attention all hands. As you know, we could outrun the Klingon vessels, but we must protect the Enterprise C until she enters the temporal rift. And we must succeed. Let's make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I'm joined by my co-host and probably the captain of this ship. We are going to be talking about a very special review we got from our friends over at Paramount Home Entertainment. We're going to be talking about Star Trek The Picard Legacy Collection as part of a highlight for our holiday gift guide in our final show of the year. And Alex, these guys sent this over, basically beamed this over, or in my case, delivered it via shuttlecraft. And what is the Star Trek Picard Legacy Collection?
Well, it is everything. Everything that I guess Picard has been a part of in the Star Trek universe of television and movies, except I guess not the first episode of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Like everywhere else he showed up, it's here. So what you get is it's the original 7 seasons of TNG on Blu-ray, which everything here, for the most part, has been released previously. This was also released to coincide with the 3rd and final season of Picard. So that was the new content with this, which could also, again, be purchased separately. But it has the 7 seasons, the 4 movies that were part of the TNG movie universe on Blu-ray, and you get the 3 seasons of the Picard sequel revival show, however you want to frame that. Now, interestingly enough, usually when you see companies release these box sets, they just, people will call them repackages, or they just throw in the previous discs that are in a warehouse in new packaging. Interestingly here, that's not the case, in that every disc has new artwork. So what does that mean? That means the new discs had to be pressed. They're not just stuff that's been sitting in a warehouse. So in previous releases, like the original print run of, I think it was season 1 and maybe season 2 of TNG on Blu-ray. Do you remember the whole hubbub about how there was problems with a couple episodes having the audio map improperly way back in the day, where it was like the center channel where the voices come out, where they were coming out of the back left speaker, and you had to mail in your disc for replacement. And it was kind of cool because you ended up getting like a little holographic postcard for doing so, on top of getting a disc replaced. And then for years after, when there were other discs pressed, people weren't sure necessarily if they were getting the original version or if they were getting the other version. Well, something like this stops that by making sure that, hey, here's the correct newest version. It's got the new artwork on it. So it's all the same content as those previous releases, except that you're getting what's essentially the best or newest version of it.
Yeah, now you also get some additional extras here, and this is kind of where I specialize. I love collector's edition box sets. I reviewed quite a number of them, either from the BBC, Marvel Studios, or whoever, and this one is certainly no different. What this does come with, it comes with a collection of comm badges that Captain Picard has worn over the course of his career, and they're done as kind of fridge magnets. The last time I saw something like this in my personal collection was from the Shout Factory Transformers G1 set that came out a number of years ago. I do know there are higher quality fridge magnet type comm badges available, but not in this particular box set.
Yeah, these are the ones that are like, it's like a printed sheet with the label across it, and you peel out the pieces. If you're somebody who's gone to like a hobby shop or a game store, and you know how they sell like the Super Mario sets where you can peel out the little pieces and like place them on your fridge and make your own little Mario level, it's like that, but comm badges.
Yeah, you're also getting a deck of Picard or kind of Starfleet themed playing cards. You do get some additional artwork on the back, but nothing on the faces of the card. So unfortunately, not anything particularly special there. You're also getting a couple of Chateau Picard drink coasters that are not something I would use for everyday use. They're more of a little display piece you could put in a Star Trek themed display on your shelf or something like that. They are definitely in-universe themed.
Yeah, if you were to get, let's say, collector's glasses or something, you wouldn't want to honestly use them if you're a collector as regular drinking coasters, because they're not even like the really high, thick cork ones. They are more of a cardboardy cork hybrid, very thin. they are for show. So if you're going to take them out of the case, put them in a display case, put a glass on top of it that's a collector's glass and have it sort of just there for show. Do it. I would just personally not recommend using them for drinking ones if you're planning to keep the whole set, in good condition.
Yes, I was about to say, and then finally there is a book which includes some photography from the run of Captain Picard. You get tons of quotes from certain episodes, and it's a fairly high quality book. Definitely something you'd find in your local big box kind of bookstores that would run anywhere between $25 and $40. Definitely part of your Star Trek collection, and nice to be able to pull some of the wisdom from the Captain Picard character over the course of his television tenure.
Nice high glossy, good quality binding. It is of remarkably better quality than some of the other inserts that are in it, which is good.
Exactly. So I guess our final verdict on the Star Trek, the Picard Legacy Collection, I see this as a very good entry point for someone who has nothing and only wants to focus on the Picard era stuff. It's in one convenient package. Unfortunately, there are no digital codes available, but that's fine because physical media, and it is just nice just to have it in one convenient location. You are getting some exclusive artwork to this set. You are getting some additional extras to this set. So I'd say this is worth it for someone who wants it in one go.
Yeah, and of course, like I said, you get fixed episodes, things that might have had mastering errors on previous releases, or in some cases, the fact that it's on Blu-ray means that it's a significantly higher bit rate. You're going to get better visual quality than you get from streaming it. Obviously, if you want to stream it or you want to watch a digital copy, you can do so through Paramount Plus. But this way, you have archival, good quality. If you're worrying about your internet connection speed, this is something you don't have to worry about. You just pick it off the shelf. It's, I would say, competitively priced when you compare all of the individual seasons or previous sets, and the fact that it comes with the book and the other little collectible accessories in a pretty premium feeling box that doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. So especially if you're somebody who has like parents that were super big into Star Trek and maybe only ever collected a little bit here and there, or like you said, somebody who's brand new to it that maybe has just caught Picard in the newer seasons or maybe just seen the movies, and they're like, you know what, I want to get everything in one fell swoop.
Exactly. So if you want to be like the collector Kivas Fajo and have this is an extremely limited edition. They only made around 11,000 of these. So make sure to check your retailer of choice to see if you can indeed add this to your collection and hopefully not have it like Data as a weird little sitting doll in your collection. So anyway, guys, we are going to warp out of here as we return to our final show of the year. We'll be back, guys, right after this.
And Commander, it is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
I believe I understand, sir.
Go crazy?
Don't mind if I do!
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together.
Welcome back to ThisWeekInGeek.net. I'm Mike the Birdman. He's Alex, the producer. Well, folks, it's time to walk up to this circus of strange, the most unusual things that happened on the big blue marble we call home. Some people call it Earth. Some people call it Sol. Either way, welcome home. All right, so our first story comes courtesy of globalnews.ca. Remember that 3-year-long cruise? Well, it's been canceled 1 week before departure. A 3-year around-the-world cruise that was supposed to set sail next week has been canceled at the last minute, leaving passengers who sold or rented out their homes and made their way to the starting port stranded and very upset. Life at Sea Cruises had promised passengers of its inaugural 3-year voyage the trip of a lifetime. They were supposed to set sail on November 30th, traveling to 382 ports across 140 countries over the span of 3 years. But for months now, there's been signs that something might be amiss. CNN reports that passengers faced, quote, weeks of silence from Life at Sea Cruises and at least 2 postponements since the beginning of the month. The big ship was originally scheduled to leave port on November 1st, which was first postponed to November 11th and then November 30th. The company also informed a customer earlier this month that his retired cruise ship they planned to buy and renovate ahead of their departure had been bought by another company. Life at Sea Cruises, a division of Bluray Cruises, wrote to its passengers that it was, quote, facing challenges because of investor withdrawals, according to a memo to customers written by its parent company CEO and obtained by Business Insider earlier this week. A November 19th statement to customers from Miri's CEO, Verdad Uraru, apologized, but said the company was, quote, actively seeking on creating alternative plans for the future in ensuring an unforgettable experience for our valued community. While we're in talks to acquire a similar vessel, if the December 1st sail date is jeopardized, we offer alternative departure dates or expedited refunds, Urugulu wrote, according to Cruise Industry News. Although we could use our current vessel, the Gemini, we remain committed to delivering the promises of a larger, newer vessel. Urugulu's statement came a few days after Life at Cruises CEO Kendra Holmes resigned after she quit. She reportedly recorded a 15-minute video for passengers admitting the cruise won't go ahead. It's unclear why she was chosen to make the announcement after announcing her resignation. Now, Life at Sea is promising customers repayment for the minimum $115,000 USD per person package, saying the monthly refund installments would begin in mid-December. It is also offered to pay accommodations until December 1st and flights for those who have already made their way to the departure destination in Istanbul ahead of time. That, however, is of little solace to those who sold or rented out their homes and ditched a bunch of their possessions ahead of the cruise.
Who is this stupid to have thought that this was a good idea?
I know, right? So one of the passengers said they wanted to remain anonymous. There's a whole lot of people right now with nowhere to go, and some need their refund or even a place to go. It's not good right now. For people who got their hopes up once again, only to be dashed a few days later, I'm surprised no one in the group has had a heart attack, another said. The company had planned for between 800 and 900 mostly American passengers, and as of August, about 40% of the 540 cabins had been reserved. Life at Sea had promised customers a renovated vessel with, quote, world-class amenities, including a business center, a library, a 24-hour on-call hospital with free medical visits and education classes for adults. There was also a promise.
Dude, you know how much it was going to cost to? They were going to charge $122 million in passengers tickets.
Oh, yeah. And I've followed up on this story a little bit further. The ship that they wanted to purchase was not even remotely ready. It was supposed to be in dry dock in Germany, I believe. Another company bought it at the last minute. And that was presuming, like, they still thought they were going to make November 1st. They had to renovate an entire world-class vessel to completely support that crew and everybody else for 3 years.
Do you know what doesn't work that way?
Life?
If you were, I don't know how it works in the States. I think it's the same as it is in Canada. You're not allowed to live away from home for more than 6 months without filing taxes, or you'd lose your citizenship and you can go to jail if you don't pay your taxes for 3 years and don't set foot at your home, even if you've rented it out. You will have no mail. You'll have no, you'll be traveling place to place. What happens if you get sick? What happens if you commit a crime? There's so many. You can't be at sea for 3 years. Like, the Navy doesn't go at sea for 3 straight years.
Yeah, they go out for a few months, but you still go home. You still have to port.
The longest you might be away is what, 3 to 6 months on a tour?
Yeah, maybe.
Because you'll go crazy. Even if it's military, you've regimented, you still have time to go, oh, this is such a dumb idea. I kind of wanted it to happen so that we could watch the chaos as it becomes like a Lord of the Flies crazy situation.
But yeah, it is insane that they thought they were going to get away with this, and yet here we are. So yeah, it's nutty. I mean, and just some people sold their entire homes, but in a weird way, it'd be kind of freeing to think about. I've sold all my earthly possessions. I'm going to wander the world for 3 years, because there are some people that I know. In fact, a friend of mine, she had a divorce recently, and her husband sold the condo. So she took her half, built a really bitchin' van, and now she's driving around the southern U.S. just looking for adventure and a good time.
And you can do that, but you know what? You're on land. You're
on land.
You're within your country. You have rights.
Yeah.
You know, like if I was a pirate, hearing
but the piracy threat.
If I was a pirate and I heard that there were 500 or 300 passengers or 900 passengers, sorry, each paying nearly $150,000 to be on this boat, I would go, well, there's money I could ransom people away for.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's
almost like a movie right there. Hey, Zaslav.
Because I'll tell you what they don't have that the oligarchs that have these $1 billion have. Like, well, you could just kidnap one of them. Yeah, try it when they have 6 guards with automatic rifles on board.
Yeah, they probably have like a literal private mercenary army.
Like, they don't get touched. They even if they go out there and they only have like 1 or 2 bodyguards, the reason they don't get touched is because you take them, your family disappears. These are like these people that are taking this boat ride are not rich enough to do that.
But so you're getting the equivalent of Paul Blart Mall Cop to protect you. I doubt you're getting like under siege levels of protection.
You have enough money that it's worth kidnapping you, but not enough money that it's worth there's too high of a risk of you dying kidnapping them.
Yeah, like that's nutty. So
sorry that's where my brain goes, but that's where it does.
Yeah, well, it's like totally valid, because like if this ship is sailing around in international waters for 3 years, some pirate guys or some mercenaries or somebody unscrupulous anyway, they're going to get the idea. You don't need many boats to stop this. One rocket-propelled grenade could pierce the hull and said, look, you either surrender all your valuables or we'll sink you right here, right now, and nobody finds you.
They might just do the quick math and go, 900 people, if we can ransom each one for $50,000.
Yeah.
That's enough money that changes their lives, and they'll think, well, these people can afford it. They could all afford this rich boat ride for 3 years. Even if they spent, and then if you're the person that spent all of your life savings to do this and you got nothing, guess who dies first?
Yep. I mean, it's dumb, but
yes, sorry for bringing a downer to it, but I'm kind of glad that it's not happening. But I also, wanted to see kind of what would happen.
Yeah, it was just so bizarre. So our next story comes courtesy of NPR, so National Public Radio. A car-sized tumbleweed has made quite a scene on a California highway. A giant tumbleweed, roughly the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, was spotted hurtling down a 4-lane road in California earlier this week. The jaunty brown bundle of brush was captured on video and was posted on Tuesday on X, formerly known as Twitter, where it gathered a number of fans who compared it to a giant hairball, belly button lint gone wild, and the critters from the eponymously named 1986 sci-fi horror movie. The poster of the video offered no information about the bouncing plant carcass other than to say it was the mother of all tumbleweeds, but it got us thinking, not just cowboys and classic Western movies, but where tumbleweeds come from and their propensity for taking over roads and neighborhood. First off, tumbleweeds aren't one specific species of plant. They fall under an umbrella of noxious weeds when dry and break off at the root, settling off a seed-spreading expedition. One of the most common and problematic for crops is the Russian thistle, or Kali tragus, which is believed to have hitched a ride from Ukraine to southern Dakota in a shipment of flaxseed back in the 1870s and has plagued the country's dry, arid lands ever since. In 2020, a swarm of tumbleweeds took over a stretch of Washington State Highway that piled up to 30 feet high in some places. Cars and trucks were trapped for hours. Authorities dubbed it Thumblegeddon. A couple of years later, almost 100 homes in Victorville, California, were seemingly swallowed up by thousands of the prickly tumbleweeds that were taken about by 50-mile-per-hour winds. Quote, "It looked like War of the Tumbleweeds and looked like we were being invaded," Victorville resident Brian Bagwell, 42, told NPR at the time. In a similar incident in 2014, a tumbleweed explosion knocked down fences, blocked highways, and trapped people in their homes in Colorado. Experts say there is more tumbleweed tumult in our future, as a 2019 study from the University of California, Riverside found a new species of gigantic tumbleweeds called Salasoso ryanti can grow up to 6 feet tall, grows more vigorously than others. They also say it's likely to expand its territory as a result of climate change. Have you seen this video, Alex?
Yes.
Put up, like, it's like you and I play side to side and someone on top of us. This thing is fucking huge. And it's just cruising down the highway. Like, wow. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Like, you think it would look like a cartoon or like something that was computer generated. It's incredible. I've never seen anything so massive. And I've seen some pretty weird plants in my life. Like, I know here in Ontario, for example, just to give you folks a little bit of a geography lesson and a biology lesson, there is a species of plant here in Ontario, and you can find it through the northern U.S. and most of where we are. And it's a 6 foot and it's a 6 foot tall flower. If this sap gets on your skin, sunlight itself turns you into a vampire. Because it will burn you if it gets in your eyes. You are fucking blinded.
Yeah.
And it is terrifying.
It is rare enough that you're not likely to hit it if you live in like a populated area, but yes.
Yeah, but if you go hiking off trail, it's really easy to mistake it for. And there's even a species of wild, I think it's either a wild carrot or wild parsnip, where if you touch it, literally, Alex, if you touch the root, you will die. It's incredible how dangerous certain kind of plants are.
But again, it is pretty rare. This isn't Australia. It's pretty rare in that it's not common for people to actually touch it. It's like you're much more likely to get poison ivy or poison oak or get a tick than you are to...
Yeah. But yeah, like nature can be astoundingly beautiful, but it can also be astoundingly terrifying in what it decides to... You know what you could use in your life? A little bit of murder. So this next story Alex found, and this is a local story, courtesy of globalnews.ca again. A big hog falls off truck and onto a busy Kitchener highway. A hog was loose in the middle of a major highway in Kitchener on Tuesday afternoon, the Ministry of Transportation confirmed. An MTO spokesperson, so the Ministry of Transportation Ontario, spokesperson said in an email the ministry was contacted around 3:45 p.m. that a pig had fallen off a truck on Highway 8 east of Fairway Road, near Grand River Bridge.
For non-local listeners, the highway system here, there's two types. This is the old highway system. The 400 series, like the 400, 401, 40, whatever, those are like the biggest, fastest highways in North America, where they're like 8 lanes wide, 100-kilometer-an-hour limits. The Highway 8 is the old highway from before the system. It's what connects all the smaller cities to the major cities.
Yeah. So after this happened, the truck remained at the scene. They said in an email, the OPP, which is the Ontario Provincial Police, and our MTO service provider attended and were able to load the pig back onto the trailer. Catherine Burtonshaw, the co-founder of Ground Search and Rescue KW, said that she alerted authorities to the situation after receiving a call from a volunteer. Quote, "We received a call from one of our volunteers saying their boss had just seen a pig on the highway," she explained in an email. "We instantly called OPP and our contacts at MTO. Shortly, both OPP and MTO were on the scene." She said the pig was soon back on board a truck and off the road before her organization would get involved. The truck that he fell off of was about half a mile down the highway and needed to be rerouted. A sister truck had driven by and they were able to load the pig up safely. We had several sanctuaries reach out, but the pig was loaded back on at that time. Weirdly enough,
all I have to say is winner, winner, highway dinner.
I'm just glad the pig wasn't hurt. I guess the pig was on its way to slaughter, I would assume.
Yeah, it was. They could they're going to charge more because it's tenderized.
I guess. Although,
when they say pig, this isn't like, don't worry, people. This is not like your
Babe.
Babe, or your, what is it, a bottle, not bottlenose, it's a dolphin. You know what I'm talking about, like the tiny pig pets.
Pot-bellied pigs.
Pot-bellied pigs. This is like a 500-pound hog that is like 6 feet long. A full size. Like, this is like the full size pig roast pig.
Yeah, this thing is huge.
And it fell off, and there's a picture of it. It didn't die. It just fell off, and it was just laying on its belly in the middle of the highway, just looking around like, hey.
Yeah, like, hey, what's up? This is where I live now. Speaking of animal stories, I'm only going to mention this really shortly because I thought it was really weird. Did you know there's a kangaroo on the loose right now in Ontario? Yeah. So for our American listeners, hopefully by the time this episode goes out, they find this poor animal. A kangaroo had escaped from a local zoo. I think it was being transported to a zoo over in Quebec. And in the city of Oshawa, if you listen real close, you look outside in the night, you'll see a kangaroo just wandering through your neighborhood.
You might just hear, "Oi, fuck boy," and then
oi, cunt, and it just hops away.
And a rap on your window, and it just flexes and gives you the look. And it's like, all I wonder is, like, from where we live, there's not grizzlies down here. Well, I mean, up north a little bit, but like, we don't really have bears unless you
mostly
go,
brown bears around here.
Yeah, brown bears near the dump maybe, but like, big bears are not until you get a little farther north. Like, the biggest things that it could have to contend with really are a bobcat, which would look at it and go, "What are you?" and probably run away, right? Or lynx maybe. Coyotes would be too afraid of it.
Foxes are too small.
Yeah, the only animal that I could see going, "Hey," and then having a big fight with it, it's probably a family of raccoons. Because don't fuck with raccoons. Yeah. No, the Canada geese. They just give them, "Oi, get away from me, you big neck dumb duck," and then it would just be like, and the duck would be like, "Hiss, honk," and hiss, honk. That could be a pretty good fight. A kangaroo,
somewhere there is an animal fight club.
A kangaroo kicks one Canada goose, and somebody yells, "Big mistake," and then they swarm them.
Like, so yeah, that is some of the weird animal news we have for you this week. And then our final story, Alex found this one.
If you're an animal lover, we're making light of it. It's a joke. The animal wasn't really harmed. I mean, not yet.
It was probably just stunned if it was like anything, because
it's just, why does my pork why does my bacon taste like asphalt?
That distinctive Highway 8 flavor. So this next story comes courtesy of the BBC. So the home of Doctor Who and all sorts of fun things. Milford Haven garden ornament turns out to be a live bomb. A couple who had kept an old missile as a garden ornament, quote, "It was like the passing of an old friend when it was detonated by a bomb disposal team." The bomb, which had been outside the home of Cyan and Jeffrey Edwards in Milford Haven, Pembrokeshire, is thought to date from the late 19th century. The couple had thought it was a dummy bomb with no charge. The Minister of Defense said it removed a 64-pound or 29-kilogram naval projectile. Miss Edwards said she used to bang her trowel on the bomb to remove earth after gardening. But on Wednesday evening...
Bang, bang, boom.
On Wednesday evening, a police officer knocked on the door to tell the couple he had spotted the bomb and he would need to alert the Ministry of Defense. An hour later, he told the shocked couple the bomb squad would arrive the next day. It was a sleepless night for Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, who had been told the whole street might have to be evacuated. "We didn't sleep a wink all night. It knocked us out for 6, said Mr. Edwards. "I told the bomb disposal unit we're not leaving the house. We're staying here. If it goes up, we're going with it." That's insane. Tests proved the bomb was indeed live, but only with a tiny amount of charge. It was taken to a disused quarry in Wayland Castle, covered with 5 tons of sand, and then detonated. It was an old friend. After living in the street since he was 3 years old, 77-year-old Mr. Edwards, it was sad to see it go. "It was an old friend. I'm so sorry that the poor thing was blown to pieces." Mr. Edwards says he'd been told the history of the bomb by the Morse family, who from the Morse family, whose relative used to own the house. They said he found it more than 100 years ago. Warships for the Royal Navy used to drop anchor in St. Bride's Bay and point their guns toward Broadhaven and open fire, he claimed. They used to use the sands for target practice. They'd make sure there was no one in the sands, mind you. Well, Pop Morris, who went around delivering lemonade, was going down to Broadhaven with his horse and cart and found the shell. He struggled back up the beach and put it on the back of his cart and had a very bouncy 7-mile ride back home. He plonked it right up in front of the front courtyard, and that's where it remained. The bomb later sunk into concrete and was painted red to match the window ledges when Mr. and Mrs. Edwards bought the house in 1982. It stood there during 2 world wars, said Mr. Edwards. The Ministry of Defense said, we can confirm that on the 30th of November, 2023, ASTOP Troop 721 EOD Squad 11, EOD Search and Rescue Regiment RLC responded to the request of DIFED Prowse Police to a suspect item of ordnance. The EOD or Ordnance Disposal Team assessed the item and determined it to be a 64-pound naval projectile, which was removed from the scene and for subsequent explosive demolition.
The funny part of this is if you just take a quick look, like if you just glanced at it from a distance, it looks like a garden gnome because they painted it.
Yeah, it does.
And the best is that she would take her garden utensils and smack the top of it to get the dirt off.
I'm kind of surprised it wasn't painted like a Easter egg, or if someone like didn't paint like a goofy face on it or something like that.
But literally, it's like the top of a gnome hat from a distance.
Yeah, like it looks like when you sent me that story, I thought like, well, what the hell's a garden gnome? Then I read through it, I'm like, oh my God.
See, and that's the thing. If you just briefly look over the title, your brain went to garden gnome explosion.
Yeah, it's so weird. And I don't think this is the first time we've covered things like this where people randomly have shells.
Especially on the coast in the States even. And people would have like they take things home and it's like, what's that? It's like, oh, it's a washed up German or Japanese like
naval mine or something.
Yeah, naval mine, and you're like, what? And they just kept it at their home.
Yeah, like it's crazy. I mean, one big scene in popular culture that people might remember in the movie Hot Fuzz, there's a sea mine they keep in the police station because they're like, oh, that's not real. And then it turns out, well, it actually is. But yeah, like it's weird. And you always hear this a couple times a year. People will find a live grenade. Actually, okay, I'm trying to remember if the story is true or not.
Or people had improvised bombs where it's like they found like a lot of German Nazi pipe bombs that they buried in the ground when they're digging up their gardens and stuff. That happened for decades in Europe.
Did I tell you the local story for this? And I'm trying to remember the precise details. So if I get this wrong or if I'm misremembering it, but I want to say in my old hometown, someone had found a grenade at the Salvation Army when I was growing up. I'm not 100% sure, but now that I'm remembering this story, a lot of weird details are coming to my mind saying, I'm pretty sure I didn't make this up because I wouldn't be that detail oriented about it. But I seem to recall this happening more than once where I'm from. So yeah, that's terrifying. But you know what's not terrifying? Our next review. So this is going to be our final review on the regular show for 2023. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that you're going to hear during the break. Some new shows are going to be premiering and just, sending out our general well wishes for 2023. So we'll be back, guys, right after this, only on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
When your energy's low, grab a drink to go, 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 or however it is.
Hey guys, this is Mike the Birdman here. I got something really neat from our friends over at G Fuel. I'm looking at the flavor called Immunofluid. This is inspired by Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which you can watch on Netflix right now. Obviously, the Cyberpunk IP, it's very cool, and it's still a game that, well, it more or less works now, so that's fantastic. So when I found out there was going to be a collaboration between G Fuel and Cyberpunk, Cool, now I have a reason to watch the anime and something to watch over the holidays. So what this is, I'm going to read you exactly from the website. So the streets of Night City are tough to conquer. To have the energy you need to power a thrill-seeking cyberpunk lifestyle, you're going to need something only a skilled Ripper Doc can provide. Grab the new G Fuel Immunofluid 40 serving tub, inspired by CD Projekt Red's award-winning anime of the year, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, featuring original illustrations by David, Lucy, and Rebecca, and main on the tub. This grape banana grape apple mix will give you the upgrade you need to become the ultimate Edge Runner. And yeah, so this is grape, banana, and apple. Very, very heavy banana flavor to this. I don't really taste the apple and the grape or in this, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's very heavy banana, but it doesn't have that medicine-y artificial banana taste to it. Like, it's different than any other collaboration flavor I've had so far, like the Genshin Impact flavor I've done, the Contra one I reviewed a couple of weeks back. So Immunofluid sits in kind of a weird position where I think this is going to be very selective in who's going to dig it. If this had more of a grape flavor, I think I could recommend this as a wider, broad appeal flavor. But having the grape, banana, apple, it's kind of a weird mishmash. Like I said, I don't hate it. I don't exactly am going to, run down to the local Ripper Doc and go, oh my God, this is the best thing that a Joy Toy could possibly ever give me. No, but is it worth trying? Yeah, and especially with the BOGO sale that's going on right now, this is something that if you definitely want to give a try to, this is probably about the best time to do it. But I'm going to say for the G Fuel Immunofluid, this is probably one of those flavors that I might really suggest you maybe check out a couple more reviews other than mine to see if you really like it. Like I said, I really taste the banana, almost overwhelmingly so. But I really like banana. It's one of my favorite, fruits of all time. So, like I said, for mine, it's going to be maybe pick this up on a BOGO or maybe use your favorite creator code like code FOOYA, FOOYA, or code CAC from Burkle, who's a Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 content creator. Those are the two content creators I support. So once again, if you want to check this flavor out, that is gfuel.com. This is Immunofluid. So check it out, Chumba. And I will check you again here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
Hi, this is Weird Al Yankovic, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to say, Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Hey guys, welcome back to This Week in Geek. And once again, big thanks to everybody who has joined us over the course of the last year for the TWIG live show. It usually happens on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays. This year, we've had a lot of really interesting news stories. We've covered a lot of really cool products over the course of this show. So just want to send a huge thanks to our partners who send us things out to review, companies that say, hey, we think this is interesting. What do you think? Sometimes we get something really weird and strange. Other times we get something really fascinating that kind of changes the way we live our lives. So big thank you to everybody who's ever contributed to the show. Just want to send a thanks to our co-hosts like JT, like Ken, like Aaron, more recent contributors and friends like Dave and Enrique, and the guests that we've had on the show this year. Obviously, with us losing Zencaster, it has certainly changed how we record interviews now. Luckily, Alex is a wizard and is able to help me figure out recording things.
Trying the best we can. Best we can within our means.
Yeah, so we've had a really good year. We've watched a lot of really cool movies. I've been exposed to a lot more stuff that I've never seen before, which is, again, always the thing I want to accomplish every year with TWIG, is I want to see things I've never seen before. And Alex would always challenge me to view movies for Loose Cannon or movies or television shows for any of the other partner programs. JT would challenge me to read something, admittedly not as much as I would have liked to this year, just due to all my volunteer work and being sick with COVID this past summer. Ken really changed my perspective on anime this year. I know last year I powered through Dragon Ball Super. I think this winter I'm going to try I know Alex and Ken and I have a show planned where it's about future anime classics, and Alex is going to come over. We're going to watch some stuff, and maybe I'll try getting through My Hero Academia because I think it's pretty short.
My Hero, like the two big ones right now in the anime verse, well, three. It's Demon Slayer, My Hero, and Black Clover. Black Clover is my favorite of the three. My Hero is like Demon Slayer is popular and is like it's quite popular, but I think My Hero had like the biggest influence in the last few years. I mean, they had 3 theatrical movies. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I've been to each one, full English dubs for the theatrical releases, right? So and again, shorter seasons, 24, 25 episodes a season. So it's easier to get through. Whereas Black Clover, which is my fave, is the traditional like Pokemon style where there's like 50 episodes a season for 3 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to taking our break, which we officially begin on, I guess, December 10th after we record our final thing on December 9th, which it'll be nice to get together with Alex. We're going to have our own little mini Christmas on the 9th. We're going to record Holiday Gift Guide, which will be out that same day, if not at the very latest Sunday, the 10th. So that's plenty of time for you to order things on Amazon, to go to your local kind of retailers and find all sorts of our kind of goodies there for you. Plus, some of our stuff is available digital, so you don't have to necessarily go to the store. You just need PayPal or credit card to buy some of these things.
And a lot of places are starting to do things where and it's been like that for some places, but more and more are doing it where when you're purchasing digital gifts, they'll either deliver it yourself or they'll do things like you can purchase it now when it's on sale and schedule the email to go to the people on Christmas Day.
Yeah, so there's going to be some really cool things in our like holiday gift guide. I know one of the preview things, I'll just kind of give you guys a hint now, is I'm going to be talking about that Ninja range of kitchen devices, just because it's really changed how I've eaten in the past couple of weeks. And again, I never thought I could have ice cream for breakfast and it would literally be healthy for me. So that's kind of a whole new thing for me. Plus, I've gotten some new RPGs recently that I'm going to be talking about. I actually have to dedicate an entire section to role-playing games here because I've gotten so much and there's so much cool shit out there. I guess speaking of things, I know Alex and I were talking about Botched Roll, which I have recorded 2 episodes as of this recording. One was an interview with the Marvel multi-universal role-playing system, one of the authors, Matt Forbeck. That'll be coming out. I did the interview a few weeks ago, so it's a little bit old, but the information is still very, very, very relevant, and it's definitely a game that's worth picking up. And then I finally I talk about getting back in the game mastering because I do have a private group that I'm working with in January as my Dungeons and Dragons game that my one friend is running kind of winds down on Thursdays, but she wants to play. So she's like, Mike, how'd you feel about running Star Wars? I'm thinking, you know what? It was one of my first loves and I'm kind of feeling inspired about it. So that's what I'm going to be doing on my Thursday nights. So I kind of talk about my creative process for that. During the holiday break, I'm going to be writing a lot of Star Trek stuff. I have to finish some of my projects I have for the Star Trek company because I want to try and get a draft in by the end of the year. And it's been really cool just to get back into that Star Trek frame of mind. I started watching Star Trek DS9. I'm almost done the first season. And again, I really like it. And I'm going to be powering through Prodigy to finish up that because that's a series that Alex got me into earlier this year and I was really impressed by it. Lower Decks I still need to finish. Yeah, it's going to be a fun break. I'm actually going to be beating Mario RPG. I'm finally going to return to Persona 4 Golden because I bought that when it came out. Persona 5 Tacticals come out in the last little bit, so I do want to get that because it's on Game Pass, so, why the hell not?
And then Game Pass is going to have the full remake of the third game. At the beginning of February.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good time to game. I can finish a lot of the things that I wanted to. I know me and Blair are looking forward to playing Super Mario Wonder. So yeah, Alex, what are you going to be doing with your couple of weeks off?
Same idea. I'll have a few games that I want to play just for me right around Christmas time when the break before we start up, like the week after Christmas to middle of January, I'll be playing whatever I get at Christmas, which I'm pretty sure my brother said he's going to pick up the Star Ocean game for me because we didn't get it for review. And maybe Mario, maybe RPG or Wonder, one of the two. Whatever one I don't get, I'll probably pick up for myself with Christmas money. And beyond that, I'm just sort of clearing out the slate of everything we've got so that I'm ready, because February is the insanity of RPG month. There's like 8 RPGs.
So you're not going to sleep, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's not going to be great. It's
it's going to be awesome, but not for your health.
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, and there's not a ton of movies. All the regular movies and theaters have been pushed back. A lot of movies that I was going to go see, or I plan to see this, over the next few weeks, they either got pushed, got bad reviews, or aren't worth seeing. I still want to see The Boy and the Heron. That's the Studio Ghibli movie,
right?
Yeah, but it's only playing this coming week at the one theater, but apparently it's going to expand to some of the more indie, better theaters here. So I'm going to hopefully see that. I want to see that Nicolas Cage movie where everybody keeps having dreams about him. It looks weird. I'm trying to think what else is there. I want to see the Iron Claw, which is the wrestling movie. And that's about it. Like Aquaman and all that stuff, maybe I'll see them if there's something good. But like, there just doesn't seem to be a ton. So I'll be able to just do things for myself and just relax. And I also want to get some stuff prepped when it comes to, like, what are we going to do on the website next year? Because the plan is to do a refresh on the website, if not maybe a full refresh on the site, how it runs, some artwork changes. I want to get some new art made for the different shows, because a few of our shows still share the same art. I want This Week in Geek's main show to just be the one pod art, but then have every other one have its own. And beyond that, like, again, I'm looking forward to just the gaming that's coming in 2024. This was a good year for gaming, but like, when I say crazy stuff in the first 2 months of January, dude, like January, January, Alone in the Dark is coming out. That could be good or could be bad, but it looks decent, right? Prince of Persia is coming out like the next day. Then there's The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, right? Maybe I'll finally be able to play that so that it doesn't corrupt its data like what was happening when I had the disc version of the PS4 game playing on my PS5. It would corrupt every 2 minutes, and there was just a problem. And I don't think they ever fixed it on the disc version. And then you've got, like, after that, Like a Dragon 8, or the Yakuza 8 Infinite Wealth. That looks bonkers. Is at the end of the month, the same day as Tekken 8, and then a week after that is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is a big fantasy tales-like RPG. The same day as there's another RPG coming out called Legend of Legacy HD Remastered. The next day is Persona 3 and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Then a week later is Helldivers 2 and Banisher's Ghosts of New Eden, which is from the same people that made Life is Strange and Vampire. Then, like a week after that, or is it a week, maybe 2 weeks after that, there's Mario versus Donkey Kong, which is, I think that's the remake of the Game Boy Advance game? I think it's a Game Boy Advance game. And then to finish off the month, we've got the big release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. As like, good Lord, dude. All of that within about a 5-week period. So
yeah, it's going to be pretty friggin' nutty. I mean, I think next year's going to be fantastic. How many years will it be next year for the show? 17?
Yeah. Well, 2007, right? So yeah. 17 years.
17 years, which means our show is almost old enough to buy lottery tickets. So it's definitely old enough to drive, though.
When we turn, what is it, 19, do we take the show out to the Rippers? Like,
for one episode, yes.
Reporting to you live from the strip club.
Live from the manor in Guelph. So yeah, guys, like I said, this show has been so rewarding. I've met so many of you. I've met so many people from you here in the local community who know me not just from the podcast. You know me as the Guelph TikTok guy. You know me as the guy at the Storm. I've been called a community leader in the last couple of days. So it's been it's been a fantastic year, and honestly, it's pretty great to be just a part of your lives in this small capacity, working with all my friends to bring you something new and exciting. It's a lot of fun, and I'm very, very grateful. So thank you guys for a wonderful year. I'm sure we'll share some similar holiday messages on Holiday Gift Guide, which, like I said, will be premiering this coming week. I know I've got some additional records with Enrique and Dave coming up, and me and Alex still have our holiday special, which should be releasing on Christmas Day. So anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. So for the last time on the regular show, we have been
Alex, the producer,
and I've been Mike the Birdman saying, happy holidays, stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys later on this week, right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
I'm David Zaslav. My David Zaslav sounds like Skeletor. Yeah, kill the Batman, He-Man. Anyway.
I'm Paul. Kill the project. Kill it. Kill it. We need tax money. Kill it.
Beastman, bring me the tax write-offs.
Why won't anybody watch our garbage? We set it on fire and they still won't watch it.
Have you ever seen there's an entire Discovery Channel which is just them burning master tapes and shit? You paid for it.
And it's just and he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and then you hear others screaming on the other side, and it's Bob Iger going, "Why won't it work for us either?"
Quick, throw more content onto the fire.